Now, there are dozens of reasons why any player might hate any frame in the game. It's just how it is. They might not like how they look or exactly how they play, but a lot of the reasons are pretty stupid. In this video, I'm just going to be talking about a few of the reasons I found on Region Chat, which was quite hard because they're quite stupid today. So, let's start off with the very first thing that they talk about, her fourth ability. Her fourth ability is Silken Stride. You activate it, you become a nice little spider, and then you can just dash and latch onto any object essentially in this game. Now, this is quite nice because you can latch onto damn near any surface, which is fantastic considering that wall latching normally doesn't allow you to do that. But it does have the significant drawback of latching onto awkward corners. You're quite fast when moving around, which is amazing, but if you latch onto an awkward corner, you could get stuck if you latch onto an awkward corner, which I personally haven't experienced, but I have seen it. So I've seen somebody fall out of the map and continuously fall and fall, but this was a few months ago. Maybe they fixed it recently, but seeing as how people are still complaining about it, I can't imagine they have. So that is quite annoying. And with their fourth ability, it has anti-synergy with other kits of your Warframe, such as your melee weapon. If you use a melee weapon in your melee-centric build, you can't use this ability because attacking only allows you to attack with your legs, and you have to have an enemy to attack to. If you don't have an enemy, all that happens is it'll say invalid target. And on top of that, attacking with the legs requires you to use a lot of energy. So it's just highly inefficient to attack melee wise in your fourth ability. It makes no sense. And so I could totally see why some people don't like her fourth ability. It's kind of just highly inefficient. If you could attack normally, that'd be great. But since you can't, there's pretty much no reason to use it if you're using a melee-centric build. And that kind of rules out quite a lot of people right there. And then the fact that you could potentially fall out of the map just by using her ability also means it rules out quite a number of people that have experienced it in the past. And then the fact that it slows down gameplay even further rules out more people because some people just want to be in and out of missions. So her fourth ability just is kind of awkward. And now the next thing I heard was about her passive. Her passive I don't believe is actually that bad. It kind of fits with her whole spider theme. Wall latching grants predators Lurk, rendering Oraxia invisible for 8 seconds. So if you continue with wall latching, this entices you to stay on the move. This entices you to keep moving. That's what I see this passive as. It makes it so you don't just stay in one spot. It kind of helps keep the fast pacedness up just a little bit, allows you to continue wall latching over and over again, and you also become invisible, which works great with Arcane Crepuscular, and then Arcane Arachne on wall latch 150% damage to your primary and secondary weapons. So these two are damn near the only arcanes you should be using on her, because you're going to be wall latching all the time, and then obviously being invisible will give you ×3 final critical damage and +30 ability strength. So I don't believe her passive is that bad, honestly. The only problem is that it forces her to stay on her walls, which forces her to continue activating Silken Stride to continue wall latching, which forces you to keep your energy up, which means you should be running either a high efficiency build or just a continuous way to continue getting energy so you never run out, allowing you to continuously stay on the walls, which will ensure your survival. Because if you're not on the walls, unfortunately, you run the risk of dying pretty easily because she has no armor, not a lot of shields, and only a decent amount of health. And because of that, her survivability is less than other frames by quite a bit, so you can die pretty easily. And unfortunately, her only survivability comes from wall latching, being invisible. And Silken Stride gives you increased maximum health, but it's not quite as good as, just other frames that negate damage altogether, or negate certain amounts of damage altogether. Even negating 90% damage wouldn't be enough in later game areas like elite Archimedes, or even just normal Archimedes for that matter. But staying invisible does ensure your survival, and then you can use your 1 to continuously get your energy or health back. So you have Equilibrium on to continuously give you energy and health. So now moving on to the next problem people have with her is her weak summons. Her third ability launches a barrage of stinging darts, which apply toxin status effect, and then those poison enemies spawn Scuttlers when killed. So the moment they die, Scuttlers get spawned. And the problem people have is that the summons fail to attack nearby enemies. They just follow the player around. They don't really do their part as a summon, which I have experienced in the past. Now, the Scuttler's significant problem is not easily overlooked because they scale off the base mission level. So if you run an endless mission, they will stay at that level the entire time. They will not scale off of how high the enemies get. I feel like they should scale a bit off enemy level, but I get that could make it too easy. For example, right now, the Scuttlers are level 500 in the Simulacrum, and that could pose a significant problem if you just let them scale off enemy level, because then they'll just do too much damage. And so it could make just the thing far too easy. But honestly, I feel like scaling off enemy level isn't that bad. You could keep them even 10 levels below enemy level, and I think it'd still be fine. The problem is that when the AI does break for them and they just follow you around, that's quite annoying. For example, right there, that one isn't even attacking. It's attacking, but it's not doing any damage. This is quite a significant problem with one of her main abilities. It's honestly kind of just sad. They need dynamic scaling or else they're kind of just worthless, because the moment you try to go into anything with scaling to it, an endless mission, they become completely worthless and there's no point in even using them. It becomes quite sad. And their base damage is tied directly to their base level upon spawn. So they seem strong in the Simulacrum, but in a real mission, they'd be much, much worse. And now that's pretty much just it for what people don't like about Oraxia. So to recap, basically what people don't like is the bad mobility, which could potentially cause you to fall off the map, and the gameplay crux that halts fast-paced gameplay, which causes you to slow down, which a lot of players don't like, and the ability, well, anti-ability synergy with Silken Stride not allowing you to use your melee properly, at least, and then very poor summons. Now, I agree with the majority of these. However, I do believe that her survivability is fine so long as you have a constant upkeep of energy and use Arcane Crepuscular and Arcane Arachne, obviously, for the damage. But being invisible essentially makes it so no enemies will ever be attacking you, so long as you have a constant upkeep of energy and can continuously upkeep Silken Stride and obviously her passive, you're never really gonna die. And unless you get caught in an anti-ability Eximus, it's gonna be hard to kill you. And then for her awkward mobility, or bad mobility in this case, I have nothing to say about that. Personally, I've never experienced falling out of the map, but I have seen people fall out of the map. If that is a significant problem, then I could understand why people do not like her and won't play her. And a lot of her gameplay would just turn other people off because it encourages a bit of slower gameplay in that case with her wall latching. And if you have the potential of falling out of the map, it'd make you hesitant to want to latch on to damn near anything. But I hope they fixed that. But Region Chat was talking that up a lot, at least the few people that were talking about it. So I doubt they fixed it. And then finally, the weak summons. The weak summons is very problematic. They need to add dynamic leveling. They could make them a bit weaker than the average level and just use them as a primer ability. But it's honestly just kind of sad that the Scuttlers don't scale at all. They stay as the base level of the mission. So if you walk into an endless mission and it's a level 80 endless mission, they're gonna stay like level 80, 85 or whatever they spawn in as. Even if they get to level 4 or 500, they're gonna be dead in one shot. There's no chance they're even gonna prime enemies at that point. So it makes them quite worthless the moment you get into an endless mission and start farming it. That is why the summons are quite a big problem that I can see. Other than that, I think she isn't that bad, honestly. While her survivability isn't the best, it's certainly not bad either. Honestly, I think it'd be pretty cool if she had something kind of similar to what Noko has, where if she has a Scuttler out, she can just transfer over into one of her smaller spiders, and then boom, resurrection. And no, I totally did not get that from a show. Now, with that being said, that is pretty much just about it. Until next time.
Subscribe to Sleepy Soul.